Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday on the Newshour, we showed you how life-saving vaccines were being dumped in garbage bins and being buried in the ground in Rajasthan. Today, we have another shocking story, this time coming from Punjab. And in Punjab, the shocking profiteering that was going on for the last 6 days has really been exposed tonight at a time when the Amrinder Singh government is beleaguered, looking at its own infighting. They have governance that has gone virtually out of the window. The Congress party, which has been making a lot of hue and cry over the central government's vaccine policy, Rahul Gandhi himself has accused Prime Minister Modi's government of ignoring people's pain by refusing to launch a free universal vaccine scheme. But guess what? In his own backyard in Punjab, there seems to be a drastically opposite approach that they are following, opposite to what they preach. In Punjab, vaccine vials that were purchased by the state government at a cost of 400 rupees per dose was sold to private hospitals at 1,060 rupees. Now, that is a margin of 660 rupees, which is the profit margin for the state government, working out to close to 2 crore 64 lakhs. But it's not just the profit that the state government is making. The question is, by giving it to the private sector hospitals, these hospitals were selling a single dose of Covaxin for 1,260 rupees. 1,260 rupees, and taking away the rights of the common man to get it free from a government hospital. So rob from the poor, give it to the rich in private hospitals, and in the middle, make a cool profit for yourself. For what? I don't know, because you're going across the country trying to say that vaccines should be given free of cost to every Indian citizen, especially to the poor. And this notice was sent to every single civil surgeon of the state. The biggest admission of guilt came from none other than State Health Minister Mr. B.S. Sidhu. He admitted that galat to hua hai, but brazened it out in the same breath, saying vaccines are not under my control. I'm only the health minister, but vaccine policy I don't handle. Listen in to the health minister.
लेकिन आपको लगता नहीं कि बिना सरकार के जांच अधिकारी वो वैक्सीन नहीं दे सकते सर? ऐसे बिल्कुल, मैं कहना जो उन्होंने ट्वीट किया वो गलत किया है, ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए। तो सर इंक्वायरी कौन कर रहा है सर? डेफिनेटली कराएंगे, लेकिन कितने जांच कोई करेगा, मैं खुद कर लूँ, उसमें क्या है? तो सर जो तो इसका मतलब कि अधिकारियों ने जो आपको जो है फीडबैक सही अधिकारियों ने आपको बिना आपको सूचित किए ऐसे? मेरी बात सुन लो, वैक्सीन का मेरे कंट्रोल मेरे हाथ में नहीं है सर। एक्चुअली है कि हमने अपने चीफ सेक्रेटरी को डेजिग्नेट किया हुआ है, वो सारा चीज देखते हैं और आगे नोडल अफसरों ने बना रखे हैं। जैसे ऑक्सीजन के लिए राहुल तिवारी हैं, तो वैक्सीन के लिए विकास गर्ग है। इस मामले में अफसरशाही की गलती है, बिल्कुल, जिसकी भी होएगी उसको जरूर इसका।
The opposition pounced on the Amrinder Singh government and demanded his resignation, saying he is selling vaccines to fill party coffers.
सारे पंजाबियों को दसना चाहना है कि वैक्सीन हैगे है, पर पंजाब सरकार लुटन ते लगी है। हो की रहा सारे वैक्सीन जिहड़े गरीबां नूं जाने सी, पिंडां जाने सी, शहरां जाने सी, थोड़े कोल होने सी, सारे वैक्सीन सरकार ने डाइवर्ट प्राइवेट अस्पताल कर देते।
इसकी जांच होनी चाहिए, और ये इस तरह से जो सरकार कर रही है, सरकार के जो ऑफिशियल्स हैं या सरकार के जो मुख्यमंत्री हैं, उनको पनिशमेंट होनी चाहिए इसकी। लोग तो देंगे ही देंगे पनिशमेंट।
सरकार मिलकर प्राइवेट कंपनी और अस्पतालों के साथ जनता का पैसा लूट रही है। ये पंजाब में वैक्सीन के मामले में भी, इस महामारी में भी चल रहा है।
The centre then stepped in the afternoon and demanded an explanation at the earliest from the state government. And within hours, and the outrage across the country, the state government buckled but brazened it out yet again by blaming critics of not taking the order in the right spirit, and they withdrew this order of selling of vaccines to private hospitals. And that is the galti admission that they made up and said that people are not understanding it. हम तो सही कर रहे थे, अब लोग नहीं समझ रहे हैं. And this was not something that even was taken up as an explanation that anybody could digest by the Punjab leader Pratap Singh Bajwa, who got an opportunity to take on his bet-en-or in Punjab politics in his own party, Captain Amrinder Singh. Listen. Well, he continued to put out a tweet saying policy to resell doses in the middle of the second wave was uncalled for. He said state has failed in its duty to citizens by booking to profit from the sale, and also said who is going to take this 2.64 crore profits. Order a probe and act against the architects of this policy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Who wants to now take the onus for this mistake that happened? And the legitimate question on the Newshour: why are the Gandhis silent on the Congress vaccine galti? That's the question and the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me this evening on the Newshour tonight, Mr. Gaurav Bhatia. He is the national spokesperson of the BJP. Also joining me tonight is Shehzad Poonawala, lawyer and political analyst, Suman Sriraman, political analyst, Sanjay Jha. He is the suspended Congress leader who has taken a very critical view of the way the centre has managed the vaccine policy. Also joining us tonight is Mahesh Inder Singh Garewal, Senior Vice President and spokesperson of the Shiromani Akali Dal. Sujata Paul, political analyst, also joining me tonight. And my first question goes to her. And Sujata Paul, I want to ask you, what kind of governance is this? A hue and cry every other day by Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi says that the Prime Minister does not understand the pain of the poor people. He does not understand the vaccine policy. He's not giving vaccines free to the people. And look at what's going on in Rajasthan, where vaccines are being found wastage. You know, vials full of vaccine are in garbage dumps or buried in the ground, or in Punjab, where the state government buys it at 400 rupees, sells it at 1,060 rupees to the private hospitals and asks them to charge 1,560. गरीब आदमी नहीं मिलेगा उसको वैक्सीन, या अगर उसको लेना है तो 1,500 रुपए दे. Is this equitable, and is this something that you would do for the poor people in the state of Punjab at a time when you preach completely differently in the centre?
What you said just now reminded me of the Bharatiya Janata Party at the centre. However, I will talk about Punjab. And this is like checking a rooster for eggs where there are none. Because the order which was implemented for 3 hours has been rescinded, and within 72 hours, the money will be refunded. Second point, when we talk about the genesis of the problem, it is the vaccination policy of the central government, which is at fault, where there is differential pricing. The money to the center goes from the states. Money at the center does not belong to it. It's going from the center, has to be returned. This arbitrary and irrational vaccination policy needs to be corrected. The Supreme Court has already adjudicated on that. Third point, Mr. Prakash Javadekar has no business to be questioning the Punjab government, because he's already told the state governments to do what they wish to. If they want to correct it, they need to correct themselves. But I would make a differentiation between the Punjab government, Punjab BJP and the centre BJP, because the government is people-friendly, opposition-friendly and sensitive, and that is why it took back this order, because this money could have been used to...
Fantastic, सुजाता पॉल, इसको हिंदी में कहा जाता है रस्सी जल गई बल नहीं गया. आप कह रही हैं 3 घंटे का ऑर्डर. लेट मी शो यू विन्नी महाजन's tweet right here on my iPad. This tweet is dated 15th, this is 15th of May 2021, where she's actually advertising for private hospitals, and she says, private hospitals, Max Mohali and Fortis Hospital have procured vaccines and have begun vaccinating. Max is charging 900 for Covishield and Fortis for 1250 for Covaxin. Please register and go get them. This is her tweet selling vaccines in private hospitals. Not one government hospital mentioned here where it could be given free. She should be following Mr. Rahul Gandhi, what Mr. Rahul Gandhi is preaching. You know, she should be keeping that in mind. And therefore, the question here is, the order came out yesterday and your health minister says vaccine, I don't govern, somebody else governs. I have no idea. हुआ है तो गलत हुआ है ये. प्रताप सिंह बाजवा of the Congress party says गलत हुआ है ये. लेकिन आपको बीजेपी की याद आता, आपको तो कांग्रेस की याद आती नहीं है ना, क्योंकि कांग्रेस तो आपस में लड़ रही है. मिस्टर कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह is in Delhi in Shangri-La hotel giving dinners to MLAs, protecting his government, protecting his brood from running away, and his chief secretary is allowing vaccines to be sold for a profit margin. Vinny Mahajan and Captain Amrinder Singh seem to have no role to play as far as governance is concerned. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, respond to Sujata Paul.
Vaccine enough for citizens' needs, but not for Congress's greed. That is the real story. And this is Kista Commission ka. I never knew an unofficial spokesperson will supersede the statement of the state government's minister. And let us start by what the Congress has been saying. You very rightly pointed out the tweet of the Chief Secretary of Punjab, where she is trying to ensure that the private hospitals make huge profits at the cost of the common citizens and the poor who deserve to be vaccinated even as per Rahul Gandhi. But I would like to first lay down the foundation of my argument. On 24th of April and on 2nd June, Mr. Rahul Gandhi advocates that free vaccine should be provided to every citizen. Now, Navika, tell me, if the central government ensures that the state government get the vaccine, and these state governments, especially the Congress-ruled states, are so corrupt that they decide to pass it on to a private hospital where they are sold to the citizens at 5 times the price, from 400 rupees to 2,000. Is this not something to be ashamed of? Captain Amrinder Singh should resign forthwith. Sonia Gandhi should speak. Where is she today? By being silent, she is showing that she approves the way in which Captain Amrinder Singh's government is functioning. And let me tell them a thing or two about the Constitution. How can a minister say that the bureaucracy is taking decisions? Because if we understand the Constitution well, it is the bureaucrat that has to report to the minister, and the cabinet collectively is responsible to the people of the state. But here we see the minister saying the chief secretary and the other bureaucrats are taking decisions. That itself shows 1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1.
Please allow me.
Rahul Vinci.
Please allow me.
Rahul Vinci. And Navika, I just want to say one more thing.
Let me get in. 1 minute. Let me get in Sanjay Jha. No, let me get in Sanjay Jha. Sujata Paul, आपको तो बीजेपी की याद आ रही है, आप बीजेपी का स्मरण करिए तब तक. Let me get in Mr. Sanjay Jha. Mr. Sanjay Jha, you know, I want to ask you. We all had problems and we've had several debates on the vaccine policy and how it was not looking good even from the central point of view in terms of procurement. But look at the procurement model that is going on in the state of Punjab. Procured by government at 400 rupees, sold to private hospitals at 1,060 rupees and sold to people, citizens of Punjab, at 1,560 rupees. So there's profiteering going on. And it's not just about the profit. The problem is that the number of co-vaccine that is diverted to the private sector is the rights of the poor taken away from government hospitals. It's as simple as that. That's where poor people will go, ordinary people will go to get their free vaccines. I want to ask you, will you rob? Is that Rahul Gandhi's mantra, to rob the poor and give it to the rich? Is that the kind of administration that we are seeing in Punjab? Are we also seeing wastage and dumping of vaccines in the garbage bins in Rajasthan, which is again rights of the common man in this country of getting a vaccine to protect his life? This is the model Mr. Rahul Gandhi has in his own states, in his own backyard, and he goes around, every morning giving Twitter lectures to the rest of the country. Is that acceptable, Mr. Sanjay Jha?
Well, Navika, I will answer your question. You have raised a very pertinent topic for the debate of the Punjab issue. I will answer that. But before that, I think it's also my responsibility to address my friend Gaurav, who asked a question. Who should resign? Well, I'm going to tell Gaurav, because he's a lawyer, I'm going to quote to him two courts of India. The Delhi High Court, Navika, which said, and I think this is unprecedented in legal verdicts that I have heard or observation, they said someone needs to be booked for manslaughter. These are the words. And you know who they were hinting at? The central government. When the Supreme Court says it was ad hoc and irrational, the entire vaccination policy, they were talking about Mr. Modi's government. And I want to tell you today on your channel, Navika, the risk that all Indians are in. The Lancet journal has come out with this finding today, which says that for the Delta variant, which is affecting all of us in India, the gap between the two doses of vaccine should be less. The government has increased it from 12 to 16 weeks. We have a big problem. The central government has been a mammoth disaster. Now, let me answer to you the principal issue of Punjab. Punjab's mistake is that if they ever wanted to, get the vaccines from the state and give it to the private sector, then they had to make sure that the private sector could not charge a pie more from the actual user who's getting the jab. That's not happening. And therefore, you are absolutely right that today a common person of Punjab may be paying 4 times the price for a vaccine that he or she does not have to. So I'm glad the Punjab government has withdrawn it. Now, the problem, and this is where the central government needs to explain, and Navika, please ask this of Gaurav and Shehzad, who's equally a cheerleader for the government. Why are we having a multiplicity of rates like the GST? You got a rate from the central government, you got a rate for the state government, you got a rate for the private sector, and you got two differential rates for the two vaccines.
Sanjay Jha, I understand all the modeling, financial modeling that you are doing, but tonight my question is very simple, Mr. Sanjay Jha. Itni history, geography, chemistry, finance mat padhaiye. You just tell me, isn't what happened in Punjab part of robbing the rich to give to the poor? Simple, binary, simple question to you, Sanjay Jha. Just answer that. Common man does not understand so much of GST and so much. I understand what you have said about the Lancet report. We've done several debates about the gap increasing, about the paucity of vaccine availability, about the procurement process being given to states, leaving them in the lurch. I understand and I'm with you on all of that. But tonight, my question is the Congress vaccine galti in Punjab. I just want to know, Rahul Gandhi, who every morning lectures Prime Minister Narendra Modi ke aapko poor people ke liye bilkul dil mein dard nahi hai, you do not feel the pain. I want to ask you tonight, because you're a suspended leader of the Congress party, what should Mr. Rahul Gandhi answer this country tonight?
Well, Navika, there's a very simple explanation, that is that the path to hell is paved with good intentions. You see, the government was finally hoping to make some CSR money and buy vaccines. I would have recommended to them not to do anything roundabout, which would affect the consumer at the fag end. But ultimately, it is also a manifestation, Navika, of how broke the state governments have become under Mr. Modi's government. where cooperative federalism has become a joke. They don't get their money from the GST.
Sanjay Jha, I thought at least there would be one suspended leader in the Congress party who would say that this is wrong, what has happened is wrong, you can't rob the poor to give to the rich. But
Navika,
even you
can't.
No, you haven't said
policy.
that. Because no, you have given me a long-winded answer that the path to good intention is through this gully, that gully. अरे छोड़िए गलियों में हमारे रास्ते भूल गए हम सबको. I want to ask you one thing, and Shehzad Poonawala, Twitter handle of the Chief Secretary of Punjab tweets that 1500 रुपए का मिल रहा है प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल में, उधर जाइए भाई. गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल कहाँ है? आपके स्टेट में होगा, वहां क्या मिल रहा है? किसी गरीब को कुछ मिल रहा है कि नहीं मिल रहा है? मिलना चाहिए कि नहीं मिलना चाहिए? नंबर वन. एंड नंबर टू, the health minister says galti to hui hai, but I'm not responsible. Amrinder, I don't know, he's dining with MLAs in Shangri-La Hotel, saving his government and giving explanation to the Congress High Command. And on the other hand, you have Pratap Singh Bajwa, who's got another opportunity to bite him where it hurts. And here in the middle of all this, you have profiteering going on and the poor and their opportunities for saving their lives being taken away from them. This is Justice Rahul Gandhi style.
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल नाविका, अगर किसी को भी इस पूरे कदम में कोई गुड इंटेंशन दिख रहा है तो वो कांग्रेस से नहीं, लॉजिक और विजडम से सस्पेंडेड है. तो आई होप दैट इज नॉट द केस, क्योंकि आज कांग्रेस के खुद के एमपी, मंत्री और तमाम प्रशासन कह रहा है कि हाँ गलती हुई, पर उनके सस्पेंडेड लोग आज कह रहे हैं कि नहीं कोई गलती नहीं, इट वॉज अ गुड इंटेंशन. मतलब इट वॉज अ गुड इंटेंशन दैट द वैक्सीन दैट यू इन पंजाब प्रॉमिस्ड विल बी फ्री फॉर 18 to 44, you took it out, did not send it to government quota, send it to private quota, earned a profit, munafa on misery, profit in pandemic, then the hospital put another profit and premium on it, and the vaccine that should have come to a garib person in Punjab for 0 rupees came to him for 2,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees, and in that they see good intention. मतलब आप सोचिए, पंजाब which has CFR of 2.6 नाविका, means वहाँ पे संक्रमण का इतना वहाँ पे बोलबाला है कि लोग मर रहे हैं. The right to life is being given by Rahul Gandhi's party to somebody who can pay 5,000 for a dose, not to that person who's the poor. और ये बात करते गरीबों की. पर देखिए ये रिवर्स रॉबिन हुड तो पहले से था परिवार. They were always रिवर्स रॉबिन हुड. रिवर्स रॉबिन हुड मतलब steal from the poor and give to the rich. कैसे? आपको याद है इनके पिताजी ने क्या कहा था? उन्होंने कहा था मैं 1 रुपया भेजता हूं तो उसमें से मेरे कांग्रेसी सिस्टम जो है वो 85 पैसा खा जाते हैं, 15 पैसा पहुंच जाता है. तो ये कमीशन किस्सा का गौरव भाई बहुत पुराना है. संजय झा तो जानते भी हैं, उनका तो बड़ा अध्ययन रहा है इसमें. पर मैं केवल संजय झा से एक चीज पूछना चाहता हूं हाथ जोड़कर, हमारे बच्चों की वैक्सीन आपने कभी कचरे में डाल दी राजस्थान में? हमारे बच्चों की वैक्सीन आपने अमीरों को दे दी संजय झा जी. आप कितना सस्पेंड होंगे सर? आज तो बोलिए, जो बाजवा जी बोलने की हिम्मत करते, आप तो सस्पेंड हो चुके हैं, फिर भी सच से आप दूर हैं और झूठ पे आप अभी भी सस्पेंडेड हैं.
नविका जी, मैं उनका जवाब दे देता हूं संक्षेप में.
संजय झा, respond before I get in Suman Siraman.
Yeah, listen, Navika, it's a very straightforward statement. I don't want to, answer Shehzad in his typical rhetoric. Lekin boss, if India is going to face a third wave, and if we have seen the highest number of deaths since April and May, we all know who's responsible and we all know who should be resigning. I agree that Punjab's decision is ill-conceived. I agree it is not a decision which was taken clearly with a lot of application of thought. But please, for God's sake, please do not dodge the reality.
No. And it is taken with a lot of application of mind. It is taken with a lot of application of mind, and let me prove to you how. Suman Siraman, let me show you how it is taken with application of mind. After all, the Congress party is very, very used to being the middleman. Middleman का game जो है वो कांग्रेस जैसा समझता है, कोई और समझता ही नहीं है. बिचौलिया, they need the bicholias, the arthias in the farmer business, in the procurement business. They need the bicholias in getting Augusta Westland aircraft. They need the bicholias in all the telecom scams and the Commonwealth game scam. And they need the bicholias, and they become the bicholias now in the vaccination scam. In the vaccination, they are the bicholias because they do it best. They know it.
Can I speak?
Yeah. Navika,
Yes, Mr. Raman.
First of all, what the Punjab government did is plain stupid. I would not call this as a scam because there is no scam. The money has not gone into an individual's personal account, point number one. Point number two, if anybody has reason to feel aggrieved immediately, it is Bharat Biotech, because a vaccine which has been procured under the state government quota has been diverted to a private sector quota. And the hospital would have anyway bought that vaccine from Bharat Biotech at 1,200 rupees. Now they got it at 1,060 rupees. So the issue clearly is the Punjab government suddenly pushed to the wall because the center, which ostensibly said that we will supply the whole country with vaccines for 35,000 crores, suddenly said, no, you'll have to fund your own vaccine. And they tried to make some money by using their quota, which is wrong.
Can I respond, Navika?
But there is no scam here. The money has not gone into an individual.
Okay, so this 2.5 crore, this 2.5 crore is to tide over their problems. This 2.5 crore is to tide over their financial problems. So it is the mistake of the center that the states are in this position, and they stupidity, but they have when they put out the letter withdrawing, when they put out the letter to withdraw, you know what they say? They say the order of providing one-time limited vaccine doses to the 18 to 44 years age group population through private hospitals has not been taken in the right spirit and is withdrawn. Have the conviction, no? Have the conviction to stand. Have the conviction to stand.
Can I respond to them, please?
No, so this Gaurav Bhatia, will this 2.5 crore profiteering by the Punjab government solve their financial problems? Will it solve their financial problems, Mr. Gaurav Bhatia?
Solve their financial problem, but where is the scam here?
So let me now respond to Sanjay Bhai as well as Suman ji. First of all, my friend Sanjay Bhai, please don't call me a cheerleader. Rahul Gandhi can be called that, but definitely, I am part of the team led by Narendra Modi ji. And I would like to
referring to Shehzad, Gaurav.
No, that's okay. That's okay, my friend.
No, I was referring to Shehzad, not you.
No, okay, you took my name also, but leave that aside. So fish can survive without water, sun can rise from the west, but Congress Parivar, Gandhi Parivar cannot survive without corruption. And what kind of an argument is this? The quid pro quo? How do you know Navjot Singh Sidhu and Captain Amrinder Singh did not meet Rahul Gandhi with bags full of money taken from these private hospitals? It seems there is a clear nexus where they're extorting money from these private hospitals, giving it to the Gandhi Parivar for commission. And second, the more serious charges, Navika, as Prime Minister said and ICMR said, there is no shortage of vaccine in India. But Congress party is trying to create an artificial shortage so that they can politicize the issue. What is happening in Rajasthan? They're dumping vaccine that can save a human life. What is happening in Punjab? They are giving it to private hospitals so that only the rich, the suit-boot sarkar is worried about the rich, not about the poor. And their plea of alibi is, what are they saying? मैंने लौटा दिया. मैं पूछता हूँ आप, if you commit dacoity, if you commit a theft, if you return the goods, would that amount to neutralizing all your illegal acts? It wouldn't. And that is why they are culpable of committing this heinous crime. The people of our country are watching them. They will be punished.
I don't
Captain
think
Amrinder Singh, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, everyone. No one will be spared.
Well, let me get in, Mr. Grewal from the Shiromani Akali Dal. Grewal Saab, who is responsible for this? The health minister says he's not responsible for the vaccine policy. Amrinder Singh has not responded to this entire. Mr. Pratap Singh Bajwa, senior leader in the Congress party, has written a letter to his own chief minister saying that galat ho raha hai, profiteering ho rahi hai. Now you should take action against the architects. Who are the architects? Are they babus? Is it the chief secretary Vinny Mahajan? Because she is the topmost bureaucrat in Punjab. Now, she is an experienced hand. She has been in the Prime Minister's office of Dr. Manmohan Singh in the UPA government for years and years. She's an experienced hand.
Yes.
Where is she getting these orders from? Who is responsible? At the end of the day, if a mistake has happened, an order has been put out and withdrawn, shouldn't the Punjab government answer who is responsible for it? If it's a bureaucrat they want to pass it on to, then clearly the politicians are not involved in governance.
Navika ji, first of all, I must say that there is no government in Punjab. You know, people are dying because of COVID, and Punjab has an unprecedented number of deaths in the month of April and May because of this second wave of the COVID. And the private hospitals charged mercilessly from the patients. Government kept silence. They didn't bother to control the charges of the private hospitals for treatment of poor patients. And now, the next important thing is, when Punjab is suffering, the entire government and the cabinet is sitting in Delhi to save their chairs. One is snatching the chairs, the other is saving the chairs. See, the people are crying, people are dying because of the COVID. And there are countless processions for the rights by the employees are going on. And now they say this is an error of judgment or this is a profiteering. No, it's a black marketing. Like a private trader, they made question of supply and demand. Because
Sujata Paul, serious charge. Charge. Mr. Garewal of the Shiromani Akali Dal says this is black marketing that is being done by the Punjab government. And for Mr. Rahul Gandhi, this is the case of a pot calling the kettle black.
Not. This was a wrong decision, and that is why this has been taken back. And as far as profiteering is concerned, I think Mr. Official Spokesperson of BJP would like to answer why is it that the Uttarakhand government, which is a BJP government, is doing the same thing today?
I'm asking you a question.
I have got 900 rupees.
It's a wrong decision.
Listen.
You played with the lives of the citizens of Punjab. Now vote Sonia Gandhi. Now apologize to the country.
Official dose at
Madam, I'm asking you a question that the entire country is asking you.
The dose at rupees
Sonia Gandhi, with folded hands, apologize
you need to
the
answer
country
this is the BJP government.
Vaccines.
And how come we have two different rates of the same vaccine being given by two different private hospitals? Because this is the BJP government and we are not making a noise.
1-2 का 4 Congress है चोर.
We need the
My name is Rahul
You do
Vinci.
not understand that second point. And if you listen,
1-2 का 4 Congress है चोर. My name is Rahul Vinci. I'm telling you, madam, आप भी बच के रहिएगा. आपके पर्स में भी हाथ डाल के रुपया निकाल लेंगे. मैं बता रहा हूँ ये खानदानी चोर है. ये किसी को नहीं छोड़ते हैं. किसी को नहीं छोड़ेंगे. किसी की जिंदगी से खेल रहे हैं.
Let me get in 1 minute. Let me just ask one question. Let me just ask one question of Shehzad Poonawalla. Shehzad Poonawalla, order comes out, order withdrawn, and Congress think everything is hunky-dory. It's all good in their kingdom because galti ho gayi, withdraw kar liya. But in the withdrawal of this order, what is the intention that has been exposed, Shehzad Poonawalla? Isn't that the important point?
एब्सोल्युटली नाविका. महात्मा गांधी का सबसे प्यारा भजन था, वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए पीड़ पराई जाने रे. और राहुल गांधी का भजन है, वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जो प्रॉफिट पीड़ पर पाए रे. दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ हिपोक्रेसी. एंड लुक एट सुजाता पॉल. शी शुड बी मोर एजुकेटेड ऑन द सब्जेक्ट. A private institution taking it from the 25% channel and selling it at a high price has also been exposed on Times Now. And Times Now has asked that question also. But this is the state government using the channel meant for it to give the vaccine to the poor people for a free or for a limited price, being used to divert it to a private sector where they are making munafa. And
900 rupees में एक hospital दे रहा है, Max Hospital 1100 rupees में दे रहा है. दे दो ना, free दे दो. अभी मुझे अपनी domestic health को दिलवा करवाना है? अपनी सरकार को कहो मुझे फ्री में दे दे भाई, कह दो ना मुझे फ्री की वैक्सीन दे दे, मेरे सारे डोमेस्टिक हेल्थ जो 45 के अंडर है दिलवा दो भाई, दिलवा दो।
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there is finger pointing. Everybody is pointing a finger at the other one. My question is, when you find vaccine vials which are in short supply, creating a situation where people can't get these vaccines to save their lives, when children cannot appear for their exams because it's not safe for them to step out, when the economy is paying a price because there are lockdowns in various parts of the country, in one state governed or misgoverned by the Congress party in Rajasthan, we see vaccines with 50% vaccines in the vials being dumped in garbage bins, and in Punjab we see the government procuring vaccines at lower costs, taking away the rights of the poor and giving them at a profit margin to private hospitals, again putting it out of the reach of the common man. Is this what we set out to do? And Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who preaches every day about the lack of concern for the poor people of this country, has nothing to offer by way of a comment, even to say whether this was right or wrong. Doesn't he owe people of Punjab and people of Rajasthan an apology? It's a question that goes out to Mr. Gandhi. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on debate number 1. Taking a short break.